The wrench slipped in my hand and clanked against the frame under the truck, but I didn't curse. I never do. Not when tools fall, not when a customer tries to haggle over a bill, not even when my knuckles split open because a socket slipped. I just breathe in, slow, through the nose, like I'm pulling in the scent of grease, sweat, and steel to keep my head straight. It was a scorcher of a Thursday, one of those Texas afternoons where the heat bends the air and the road out front looks like it's melting. I had the garage doors wide open, but inside it was quiet, just the whisper of engines cooling and the lazy sweep of the fan swinging side to side. No music, no talk radio. I like the quiet. Helps me think. I tightened the bolt I was working on, slid out from under the truck, and wiped my hands on a stained old rag. Caught a glimpse of myself in the window. Jaw like a cinder block, gray creeping in at the temples. I'm only 35, but you wouldn't know it by the lines on my face. Those aren't from time. They're from years of holding back words I should have said. By the time I looked at my watch, it was 6:12. Just enough time to wash up and head home. I locked the toolbox, shut the garage, and washed up in the old sink bolted to the wall. Water came out rusty at first, same as always, but cleared after a few seconds. Like everything in my life, it worked. Barely. Our house sat on a cul-de-sac where people fly the flag and wave at you whether they mean it or not. I pulled into the driveway and just sat there for a moment, listening to the ticking of the cooling engine. Through the front window I could see the lights on in the living room. Silhouettes moved behind the curtains, one of them hers. When I stepped inside, the smell hit me right away. Air freshener and vanilla candles. Fake lavender. A woman's house. Truth is, it was more hers than mine. I just lived in it. "Hey babe," came her voice from the kitchen. Perky. A little too upbeat. "Evening," I said, hanging my keys on the hook. She came around the corner holding a glass of wine, barefoot, wearing jeans that cost more than my work boots and a blouse that looked like it belonged in a nightclub, not at home on a Thursday night. Her blonde hair was curled, makeup fresh like she was headed somewhere, not just cooking dinner. "You expecting someone?" I asked, even though I already had a guess. She smiled, burgundy lipstick on full display. "Just figured I'd look nice. We've got company coming, remember? Some friends from the office." "Right." I barely remembered. She'd mentioned a casual get-together earlier that week, some of her work crowd. I nodded like I always did. I changed shirts, helped her set the table, all while she flitted back and forth, already on her second glass of wine. Her laugh was louder than usual, even before the guests showed up. At 7 on the dot, the doorbell rang. 2 couples walked in. Late 30s, polished, full of grins and handshakes. I recognized one of the guys, Brandon, from the school board. Always came off a little too smug. His wife, Heather, wore enough perfume to choke a room. My wife, her name's Ashley now, nobody calls her by her full name anymore, was right in her element. Glass full, jokes flying. She lit up when there was an audience. Me. I stuck to the edges of the group. Offered people drinks. Smiled when I had to. Watched more than I talked. And then it happened. "So," Heather goes, swirling her glass of rose, "what would you do if Chris Hemsworth showed up at your door shirtless?" Ashley didn't even pause. She threw her head back and laughed. "Please," she said, glancing at me like I wasn't even in the room, "forget Hemsworth. Give me 3 big football player types, tall, dark, built like they were carved from stone, and I'd trade a weekend in Cabo for just one night." Everyone burst out laughing. I stopped mid-pour with a bottle of water in my hand. Ashley kept going. "I mean, come on, who wouldn't? I'd need a neck brace by morning, but hey, worth it." The whole table was cracking up. Heather was wiping tears from her eyes. Brandon almost spit out his beer. I sat down, set the bottle down nice and easy. My face didn't change. It didn't have to. Ashley caught my eye. "Oh, come on, don't look so serious, Ed. I'm just kidding." "Mostly." "Of course," I said. "Just a joke." "Exactly," she smiled, and reached for another pour. The night dragged after that. I laughed when I was supposed to. Nodded at the right moments. But inside, something cold stirred. Not jealousy. Not rage. Just something deeper. Slower. like ice crawling across a windowpane. By 10:30, the guests were gone. Ashley was tipsy, dancing barefoot in the living room to music only she could hear. "See," she said, flopping down on the couch. "Fun night, right?" I stood in the hallway, hand on the light switch, just staring at her. "Yeah," I said. "Real fun." Then I shut off the light and went to bed. Alone. She didn't notice. And lying there in the dark, ceiling fan humming above me, one thought spun around and around in my head. That wasn't a joke. That was a warning. And I heard it loud and clear. Saturday rolled in slow, with the kind of heat that sticks to your skin and turns the air thick. The sound of wind chimes drifted lazily through the backyard, mixing with the hum of lawnmowers and the occasional bark from a neighbor's dog. I was out there under the old oak tree, sitting in one of those plastic lawn chairs we'd meant to replace years ago. A glass of iced tea rested in my hand, sweating like crazy, but I hadn't taken a sip. My eyes were fixed on nothing in particular, just the horizon. Not because I expected anything to show up. Something inside me had just gone quiet. Ashley had been walking around the house like nothing happened. Like that little stunt she pulled at the dinner party, her audition for whatever attention she was craving had already faded into thin air. Harmless. A joke. She hummed while doing chores, scrolled on her phone with a smile that stretched too wide, too forced. That kind of smile people wear when they think they've won something. When they think the game's over and they're the only one still playing. I hadn't said a word about it. Not because I was scared. No, I've just learned that silence, real silence, can say more than 100 arguments ever could. And now that silence between us was stretched taut. Like a cable pulled so tight it might snap. But hadn't yet. Inside, I heard her moving, cupboards opening, closet doors sliding, the zipper of a bag. She'd mentioned earlier she might head out. Just for a little bit, she said, like it was nothing. She'd said it with a smile and a swipe of bright red lipstick. The wind shifted. I caught a whiff of her perfume. Sweet. Artificial. Too much for a quiet Saturday. Then came the sound of heels clicking across the hardwood. I didn't move. Just sat there, letting the scene unfold. The screen door creaked open. Ashley stepped out with her phone in one hand, wearing a black summer dress I'd never seen before. Tight. Shimmery. Way too much for a simple meet-up with friends. Her hair was done, curls perfect. Her lips, deep red. Like she was heading to something, or someone, she wanted to impress. "You okay, babe?" she asked, pretending like she gave a damn. "You've been out here for hours." "Just thinking," I said calmly. She gave a little smirk. "You think too much." Her eyes flicked toward the front of the house. "I'll be back later. Gonna meet up with some friends." I didn't ask who. I already knew the answer. Still, out of habit more than anything, I asked, "What friends?" She waved her hand like I'd asked something stupid. "You don't know them." She paused, waiting. Maybe expecting me to argue. To snap. To accuse her of something so she could twist it into her being the victim. But I gave her nothing. She clicked back inside. A few seconds later, I heard the front door open. Then a car engine. Only, it wasn't hers. I stood up, walked around to the side of the house, and that's when I saw it. A sleek, black SUV had pulled up to the curb. Tinted windows. Rims so clean they caught the sunlight like knives. Definitely not a car that belonged in our quiet little neighborhood. 3 guys stepped out. Big. Like football big. One of them wore a tank top, tattoos up and down both arms. Another had dreads pulled into a neat bun. The third wore gold chains over a white tee, laughing as he fixed his sunglasses. They didn't knock. Ashley walked right up to them, laughing that laugh she uses when she wants attention. She hugged one of them, a little too long, then whispered something to another. I couldn't hear the words. Didn't need to. She climbed into the SUV without even glancing back. The door closed. The engine purred. Then they were gone. I just stood there, watching them disappear down the street. No yelling. No accusations. No drama. Just the sound of cicadas buzzing in the grass, and the sun dipping behind rooftops. I walked back inside. The house still smelled like her perfume clinging to the curtains, her half-melted iced coffee on the counter, her phone charger still plugged into the wall. But the house already felt like it didn't belong to her anymore. Or me. I sat at the kitchen table, folded my hands, and stared at the chair across from me. This wasn't heartbreak. This was clarity. I pulled open the drawer beside me, grabbed a small dusty notepad, the kind I usually use to keep track of parts and customer orders. I flipped to a blank page and started writing. Not names. Not threats. Just steps. Deliberate. Measured. Precise. Outside, the wind picked up again. The chimes sang their little tune. But I didn't hear them. I was listening to something colder. Something sharper. It was just getting started. The garage was dark except for a sliver of blue light leaking in through the door slats. I sat on the old stool by my workbench, elbows on my knees, her phone cradled in my hands. Not my phone, hers. She'd left in a rush again the night before, and this time, she didn't even notice I took the backup one. The one she usually left charging on the kitchen counter while scrolling on the main one. She thought she was clever. But I'd seen enough late-night whispers and too many half-laughs behind closed doors to know something wasn't right. It was Sunday now. She said she was out shopping. Lunch with a friend. That word had become so loose, so damn convenient. I turned the phone over once in my hand, then tapped the screen. She hadn't even bothered to change the passcode. It was still our wedding date. I let out a breath. Almost laughed. Almost. Notifications lit up the screen like rot bubbling under a surface that once looked solid. It started off innocent, group chats, memes, random gossip. But the deeper I went, the darker it got. DMs, private threads, voice notes, pictures, the kind of stuff you can't unsee. And there they were, messages to and from names I didn't recognize, men whose faces didn't matter. What did matter was the tone. Casual. Nasty. Cruel in how easy it all was for her. He has no clue. It's like being married to a couch that changes its own oil. I could have 3 guys over in our living room and he'd just offer them lemonade. I didn't flinch. My jaw locked, but I kept scrolling. Ever had all 3 at once? Working on it. Winking face. I tapped save. Every message. Every picture. Every voice note. I copied them all onto a tiny flash drive no bigger than my thumbnail. The thing blinked softly from a laptop, like it was hungry for truth. I didn't shake. I didn't rage. My anger wasn't loud. It was deep water. Quiet. Heavy. And endless. Some of the pictures, they were taken in our house. In our bedroom. One showed a hand, definitely not mine, gripping our sheets. Another, a mirror selfie of her in a way too playful smile that wasn't meant for me. I stared at each one, let them carve themselves into memory. Not for pain. Not for drama. For accuracy. I pulled out the drive, slid it into a little metal case. The kind I usually use to hold guitar picks or loose screws. That went straight into my toolbox, locked away behind rows of wrenches and sockets. Nothing in that box ever disappears without me noticing. Then I stood up, stretched, and took a deep breath. In the living room, her tablet sat right where she left it. I picked it up. Logged in. Same password. Not even surprised. Her cloud was still synced. More photos. More group chats. Laughing with her girlfriends about me, about my flannel shirts, my routines, my quiet. You married a dependable vacuum cleaner. That one stuck. They all laughed. It wasn't just betrayal. It was sport. It was pride. Like loyalty was some embarrassing old costume she thought I'd never take off. I set the tablet down. No slam. No anger. Just calm. I started organizing. Sorting. Dates. Timestamps. Building folders. Making backups. One flash drive went behind the wall panel in the garage. Another in the glove box of my truck. I didn't know yet what I was going to do with all of it. But I would soon. By sundown, I heard her car in the driveway. She came in with shopping bags, sunglasses still on, a little smug twist on her lips. She brushed right past me. "You didn't eat the chili I left," she said, halfway to the kitchen. "Nope," I answered, not looking up. Not hungry. Guess not. She poured herself a glass of wine. Third one, probably. She moved like someone who didn't have a single fear in the world. Like she had already rewritten the story and handed out the script where she played the misunderstood wife and I was the distant, dull husband who just didn't get her. That was her favorite trick, turning guilt into performance. I stepped back into the garage. Shut the door quietly behind me. Just stood there for a while, staring at everything I owned that still made sense. Tools, machines, rows of perfectly ordered shelves. Everything had its place out there. And now, finally, so did I. It started with an envelope. No drama. No fireworks. Just a plain white envelope, sealed neatly, addressed with care. Principal Karen Delman. Westside Middle School. Confidential. Inside. A USB drive. Nothing flashy. Just facts. Screenshots. Voice memos. Photos. Not everything. Just enough. I'd wrestled with the idea of sending it. Not because I doubted myself, but because holding on to that kind of truth, there's a strange power in it. Like wire stretched between two poles, humming with tension. But in the end, I let it go. Dropped it in the blue mailbox near the grocery store. No return address. No fingerprints. No drama. Just progress. That was Monday. By Thursday, the fallout began. That Thursday morning started like any other. She was upstairs brushing her hair, humming to herself like everything was fine. I was downstairs at the kitchen table, nursing my coffee and pretending to read the paper. Then her phone rang. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help hearing the shift in her voice. Yes, this is Ashley. Wait, what? No, I mean, of course, but is there a problem? There was a pause. The kind that stretches too long and leaves a chill behind it. 10 minutes later, she came down the stairs way too fast. Her lipstick was uneven, which never happened with her. She was the kind of woman who'd reapply 5 times to make sure the red was perfect. Not that day. You heading out early? I asked without looking up. She hesitated at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah. Something came up at work. Just administrative stuff. I nodded. Hope it's nothing serious. She didn't answer. Just stood there, keys in hand, like she was waiting for something, but I didn't give her anything. Eventually, she left, heels clicking out the door. I stayed at the table, flipping a page I hadn't read. And I smiled just a little. See, I already knew what was waiting for her. Earlier that week, I dropped a flash drive in the mailbox. No return address. No drama. Just clean, undeniable truth. Screenshots, voice messages, photos, enough to turn a quiet office upside down. I didn't know exactly how it would go down at her job, but I had a decent picture in my head. Maybe they called her in. Maybe they printed everything out. Maybe her boss leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, and slid a manila folder across the desk with that calm, quiet tone people use when they're holding something sharp. But I wasn't there. I didn't have to be. What I did know was this. By that evening, when she walked through the door, everything about her had changed. She didn't greet me. Didn't kick off her heels. Just made a straight line for the kitchen and opened the fridge like it owed her answers. I sat at the table, calm as ever. Rough day? I asked. She didn't look at me. Just grabbed a bottle of wine. Don't, I said. It's not even 6. She poured anyway. Big glass. No hesitation. Then finally, she spoke. Someone sent stuff to the school. Private things. Screenshots. Pictures. I tilted my head, playing it cool. That's awful. I could lose my job, Ed. I met her eyes. Yeah, that kind of thing doesn't just disappear. She narrowed her gaze, studying me. You didn't. I didn't what? You know what I'm asking. I shrugged. All I know is your cloud is still synced to everything. And you use the same password for everything. She froze. Her mouth opened like she had something ready, but nothing came out. She didn't ask anything else after that. Just took her wine and drifted to the other room. Her breathing was shallow. Measured. I could see the panic creeping in. The first real crack had formed. And I wasn't done yet. Sunday came with skies, so still it felt like the whole neighborhood was holding its breath. I was up early, as usual. Made myself coffee. Toasted 2 slices of bread I barely touched. The kitchen still smelled like her wine from the night before. Sweet, bitter, and stale. Ashley didn't come downstairs until almost 10. Sunglasses on. Inside the house. Headache? I asked, stirring my coffee. She muttered something like, migraine, and went straight for the fridge. Her movements were short, clipped, like she didn't trust the ground she was walking on anymore. I let her have the silence. After a while, I broke it. Your parents are coming over for dinner. That made her stop cold. What? I called them yesterday. Figured it's been a while since we all sat down. Her eyes narrowed. You invited them without telling me? I thought you'd appreciate the company. Especially now. She didn't answer. Just nodded once, tight-lipped, and left the room. By 6, everything was ready. I'd cooked dinner, roasted chicken, green beans, mashed potatoes the way her dad liked them, chunky, not whipped. I folded the napkins just so. Made sure the table was perfect. Ashley looked picture-perfect too. Hair done. Makeup flawless. The dress modest but expensive-looking. You'd never know her world had started caving in. Except for the sunglasses earlier. Except for the way she kept glancing at me when she thought I wasn't looking. Her parents arrived right on time. Her mom, Judy, brought flowers. Her dad, Frank, had the same firm handshake he'd given me the first day we met. Dinner started off polite. Small talk. Surface smiles. Nothing real. Until I picked up the small remote on the table. I put together a little slideshow, I said. Some memories, birthdays, trips. Thought it'd be fun. Frank smiled, chewing. That lake house trip? Now that was a weekend. The TV flicked on. At first, it was what they expected. Our wedding. A few holidays. Everyone relaxed. Even Ashley let out a breath, took a sip of wine. And then the next photo came up. A screenshot. A text conversation. He's so dull I swear I could swap him out with a Roomba and no one would notice. Frank stopped chewing. Judy blinked. Then another. A blurry photo of Ashley in our bedroom mirror. Timestamp, 2:14 p.m. on a Wednesday. She was supposed to be at work. More texts. Ed still thinks I'm working late. Oh. More images. More screenshots. Like a slow-motion car crash that nobody could stop watching. Judy gasped. Frank's face went cold. Ashley didn't move. She was frozen, wine glass halfway to her mouth, hand shaking just slightly. Turn it off, she said, voice cracking. I didn't. I thought you liked sharing, I said quietly. You're humiliating me. No, I said. You did that yourself. I just opened the curtains. She stood up. Her chair scraped hard against the floor. Mom, this isn't what it looks like. Sit down, Frank said. Not with anger. Just final. Ashley froze. How long have you known? Frank asked me. A while. Judy's voice trembled. Why show us this? Because you deserve to know who she really is. Ashley turned to her mom, pleading. Please don't look at me like that. But Judy couldn't help it. Her eyes were full of something heavier than anger, something like disappointment. Maybe grief. The room went silent. That kind of silence that stays in the air long after people leave. I turned the slideshow off. The TV went black. I think dinner's over, I said and started collecting plates. Frank stood first. Didn't say a word. Just walked to the door. Judy followed, a little slower. When she looked back, she didn't look at me. She looked at her daughter. Then they were gone. Ashley stood there in the dining room, her glass untouched on the table, her whole body stiff like she was waiting for someone to hit undo. You think this is revenge? She whispered. No, I said. This is truth. For them. For me. Maybe even for you. She didn't say another word. And I didn't stay in that room with her. That night I sat in the garage again. No tools in my hands. Just quiet. Just the echo of what I'd spent years trying to ignore. The file from the slideshow, safely backed up. Twice. I didn't do it out of anger. I did it because the truth deserves to be seen. And tonight, it had been served alongside mashed potatoes and sweet tea. Things started falling apart fast after that dinner with her parents. I could see it in the way she walked, the way her phone stayed face down, the way her confidence started to crack. At first, she tried to hold it together. Same routines, same forced smiles, but I noticed the little things. Less time on her makeup. More time just sitting there, staring at nothing. Then one day, she came storming into the garage while I was changing the oil on a customer's old Buick. I didn't even look up. "They're talking about me," she snapped, standing in the doorway with her arms crossed like she was trying to hold herself together with her elbows. "Everywhere. People are whispering. Smirking." I wiped my hands on a rag, kept my voice steady. "Who is?" "People. Stores. The boutique downtown, the damn pharmacy." The woman at the register said maybe I should look for something less revealing. Can you believe that? I just looked at her. "I walk in and they laugh like I'm not even there," she said, voice rising. "It's everywhere. Like they've all seen everything." She paced now, frantic. "And don't even get me started on the bar. Our bar, Ed. The one we used to go to after work. I walk in, and I swear, Greg didn't even look me in the eye. Then some chick at the booth goes, 'Didn't recognize you, with your clothes on.'" She gave this bitter little laugh like she couldn't tell if she was furious or just falling apart. I left the drink. Just walked out. I didn't say anything. Just let her keep unraveling. "I'm getting blocked," she said next. "Like actually blocked. Guys I used to talk to, gone. One of them deleted his whole Instagram. The other one straight up ghosted me." She paused, then narrowed her eyes at me. "You did something, didn't you?" I didn't blink. "I haven't talked to anyone. But they're all gone," she said. "Even the girls. They stopped texting. Group chat's dead. They won't touch me now that it's public." I set the wrench down slowly and turned to face her. "No, Ashley. They're not gone because of me. They're gone because the fun's over. Because you stopped being entertainment and started being exposure." She looked like she wanted to scream. "You think this is justice?" she asked. "You think you're some kind of hero?" I didn't raise my voice. Didn't get angry. I think people deserve the truth. And I think you're finally feeling what truth feels like when it's not on your terms. She left the garage without another word. The next morning, I was at the kitchen table with a folder in front of me. Neatly tabbed. Labeled. Every detail in place. Divorce papers sat beside it. Nothing dramatic. Just paper. Just a clean ending. Ashley came downstairs late. Dressed like she was heading to a job interview she didn't believe she'd get. She saw the folder. She didn't speak for a while. "You really want to go through with this?" she asked finally. I looked at her. "You think I don't?" "We could try again," she said. "I mean, maybe. We could wait a bit. Let things calm down." I almost laughed, but I didn't. "I was good to you," I said instead. "Steady. Loyal. The kind of man you used to brag about." She didn't argue. "You didn't slip up, Ashley. You made choices. Over and over. With pride. With people laughing along. You thought no one would ever see it." Tears started welling in her eyes, but I didn't move. "I'm not here to comfort you anymore. I lost everything," she said quietly. "My job. My reputation. My friends. My parents barely look me in the eye. That's what happens when the mask comes off." She looked down at the papers. Her hand shook as she picked up the pen. When she signed, it was like watching a balloon finally deflate. Later that day, I packed a few boxes, tools, some books, my grandfather's watch. Left the rest behind. Didn't need it. Before walking out for the last time, I paused in the living room. The spot where our wedding photo used to hang was just bare hooks now. Empty. Like everything else. I didn't look back. Weeks later, I was having a drink with a friend on his back porch. He asked me if I regretted any of it. I thought about it. No, I said. Not anymore. He nodded. That revenge must have felt good. I shook my head. It wasn't revenge, I said. It was clarity. She wanted a circus. I just took down the tent. Thank you for visited my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.